have a couple of more workshops coming in very soon. And some of them will be from cybersecurity. Some of them will be from other aspects. Good morning. So I have gone through all your submissions, first two conferences. And I formed an opinion based on what I've seen and the interactions on the group, WhatsApp group. 4 minutes of reading can save you 4 hours of time. That's what I felt. I'm not specifically pointing out to any one person, but collectively as a group, the first batch has not read most of the information. Maybe we did not form the communications that properly. We were also learning how to communicate with such a large group. But I observed that in the second group, the second batch is the more, it's actually is more, better prepared to read the things and then process the information and go ahead with it. Okay. So this is what I felt. And that's why I decided to, stop the review process for the second conference and first address what are the common mistakes everyone is making. And probably it's escaping, the attention because, manuscript writing and presentation, this is a all different ball game. You can be a very good researcher, no doubt about that. But somehow, somewhere, some things are missing. So it's time to do some course correction. So I'm going to switch off the video now, and then we will continue with our manuscript writing workshop, right? Okay. So this is going to be a little long session, but I request that, go through it, understand what is expected, okay, and try to, process the information which is presented, all right? That will, because see, we don't just aim to give you a postdoctoral certificate. We also want you to become very good researchers so that you can also be supervisors in the next session onwards, right? Because that there has to be progression in the career, right? So that's something we are aiming at, right? So I'm going to switch off my camera. Dr. Gupta, should I switch off the camera? Dr. Shishikant Gupta, shall I switch off the camera?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let me share my screen now. All right. So my screen is shared now. Now I'm going to open up this thing. All right. So Shift F5. All right. So welcome to this first session of art and scientific writing or manuscript writing. I am your host right now. My name is Sai Kiran Oruganti. There was a Sharma there and it was lost while I was transiting from one school to another school. So associate professor with the Lincoln University College, Malaysia. I'm the CEO. I'm also the CEO of TIH IIT Patna. And I'm a visiting professor with Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, Daejeon, South Korea. I used to be a professor with Jiangxi University of Science and Technology, Guangzhou, China. And I was with the editorial board of the Electrochemical Society Sensors Plus journal. There is ECTI, ECS journal is there, and there is Major Institute of International Journal of Science and Technology. So I've got about 10 plus years of experience in the academia and the industry and hardcore researcher. All right. So as you can see, from 2024 onwards, I've been associate professor with Lincoln University College, Malaysia. Between 2019 and 22, I was a full professor with Jiangxi University of Science and Technology, Guangzhou, China. 2018 to 2019, I was a research professor with School of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology, where I continued to support the research and development for ZN Ocean Technologies, which was actually a startup which originated from my PhD thesis, for which I also served as a chief designer and principal engineer between 2017 and 18. I was an assistant professor with the Indian Institute of Technology, Tirupati. That was right after my PhD in completion in 2016. So my specialization is wireless power and data transmission through metal shielded zones. I am known for Zenith wave power transmission. So if you Google search Zenith wave power transfer, the chances are you will come across my name. So I did my PhD from Ulsan National Institute of Science and Technology, South Korea, and I did my master's from Hochschule Darmstadt, Germany. I have 14 journals, journal publications, 14 conference paper publications, 21 patents, of which 7 are US patent, 3 are PCT, 1 is Chinese patent, 2 EU patents, and 8 to Korean domestic patents. All of them are in wireless power transfer and signal transfer across metal shielded zones. And all of them have been commercialized. So these are the product which you see here is a product which we developed. It's an onboard marine wireless radio and video communication system, which I developed for Hyundai Heavy Industries, Samsung Heavy Industries, and they ship it. I was selected under the Foreign Talents Faculty Program at Jiangxi University of Science and Technology, China, under the Jiangxi Provincial Grant. I received about 500,000 RMB as a grant there. In 2016, I was awarded the URSI Young Scientist Award. That is a international radio, standardization agency based out of France. I also received appreciation letter from IEEE Censors Council. My article featured as IET cover article in 2014. But my best work came, 7 years after the first time I actually started developing these systems. It took me 7 long years to publish one particular article, and I was, shuttling from one journal to another journal. I submitted to the Science magazine, the one which is highly sought after. It went through the desk, review. It went for external review. Desk review is where 90% of the articles are, rejected. So I made it into the 10% people. It went into first major revision, second major revision, and then finally it was rejected, stating that my English was bad, the grammar is bad. Okay, that's what happened with science. Then I took it to Nature. Same thing. After 3 major reviews, they said we don't believe the results. That also happened, and then they also stated that the English is bad, the presentation is bad. And then again, I went for IEEE industrial electronics. There, they again rejected everything. I mean, like even after the 3rd round of review, they rejected. There were 7 reviewers. I don't know how, but all 7 were supportive of publication, but the journal editorial decided not to publish it. Then I sent it to Science Advances, which is a step lower than Science. There too, similar fate happened. And each time my paper kept on getting improved. My things got improved. Everything started improving, but still that thing happened. And then again, after Science Advances, I sent it again to Nature Communications. Same thing happened with Nature. After 8 months, that was the last seventh year was ongoing. And then I was really, really frustrated. I thought this will never be published. And then they said, why don't you submit it to scientific reports? And the moment I joined my job at China as a full professor, the paper got accepted. Until that point in time, there was a bias, probably. There was a mafia because the world had invested heavily on coil-based wireless power transfer system, and mine was a wave-based wireless power transfer system, which was completely, uprooting what they thought the limitations of a wireless power transfer system was. And there was a mafia, definitely. Yeah, from that aspect, there was a lot of money involved. So if my thing gets the visibility, then probably the investors are going to lose money. So those kind of things happen. It's normal. Yeah. But that didn't stop me from going ahead and running startups. So based on my technology, so that was fine. So we intend to conduct a workshop series on artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, maybe data analytics, entrepreneurship and innovation ideas. Cybersecurity is definitely something we are actually planning to do. Then we are also planning to do a PCB development design course, which will probably be helpful for a lot of people. This is the outline of this workshop, today's workshop. There will be introduction. We'll be talking about the target audience, the writing standard practices, adding data and context, components of the manuscript writing, some of the common mistakes which people make, review comments, how to address them, rejection and grounds of rejection, acceptances, example, and write your own manuscript based on whatever you gain through this workshop. So I have observed, okay, now this is not to point out or find blame in the Indian people, but what I have observed is that the Indian traditions are more or less oral traditions of recording. That is, the generational knowledge wealth gets transferred on an oral basis, son to father, father to son, mother to daughter, something like that, right? But the European traditions, they are very strongly committed on documenting everything, and the attention to the details in this document is very, very important. Okay. While oral traditions are good, but there are problems with it. It has got its own challenges in the modern times. Memories can wax and wane. The knowledge, therefore, the facts change because you are essentially not writing it anywhere, but you're only talking. So people can add or delete or edit whatever the knowledge is. And then we were also colonized, so the colonials did heavily edit our history. And the same lack of documentation skills affects our education and systematic scientific culture. And I'm observing that, and I'm also seeing that people are in the profession of research, where they are supposed to teach, where they are supposed to research, but they are not willing to read. They are not willing to process the information. Okay, so either if it is so difficult to read and process the information, then probably this is not the right profession for the individual, right? But then all of you are a PhD holder, and you did follow these practices, strong practices of reading and processing information at some point in your life, right? And that's why you have a PhD degree awarded to you. Now, I want you, all of you, to focus on reading things and processing them just one more time, and maintain this tempo so that you all progress in your careers. Okay, that's very important. And European traditions have shown us that the documentation has made it possible for the modern industrial age to kick in, right? Without that, it was not possible. So why is it important, and for whom this course is intended, right? It is for you guys, like students, the future researchers, professors of faculties. And the problem is, with this, I hope you could address the quality issues in journal articles, conference proceedings, thesis, patents, books, book chapters, grant and research funding. All of them have similar pattern. Okay, and they all are intended for the same purpose, right? Good publications will always bring you good results for you. Okay, not only does it add to the human knowledge, it also translates into so many other things, right? So your promotions get affected with good publications. Good citations are coming in from publishing in reputed journals. Okay, there is a better visibility and better influence of your profile if you have published in reputed outlets. Okay, of course, for university deans, the NIRF and NAC rankings become important, and these things actually affect that directly. These things, yeah. So let's understand what are the peer review process. First, the basics, right? There are stages of peer review process. First is you will draft something, then you will submit it, The editor reviews and rejects or sends for formal peer review. So this particular stage is only for very elite journals. Okay, but many journals are following this process these days. Even IEEE, I see that IEEE Access is also following this now. Once it goes for external formal peer review, that's when the reviewers are going to read and analyze and send commentaries back to the editorial team. Okay. The editorial team will make a decision whether to accept or send for revisions or reject the paper. Okay. Authors address the review comments if it has come back with a review comments. Even if it doesn't come back with a with expectation to rework and resubmit, you can always look into those review comments, make changes in your manuscript, and submit elsewhere. That's not a problem. Yeah. There are 3,000 plus journals. Remember, I shared the list with you. So then the outcomes. Let's talk about the outcomes. There is an acceptance, there is a conditional acceptance, there is a major revision, there is a minor revision, there is a reject and resubmit, there is reject and submit elsewhere, and then there is a hard reject. Okay. So reject and submit elsewhere and reject both are actually 6 and 7 and both are essentially the same, except for the fact that in number 6 they say that this paper is more suitable for another journal, not this journal. So that's what it means. In case of reject, what it essentially means is that you re-improve the paper, redraft the paper, rework on the paper and the experiments and things like that, and you can submit at the same outlet. Okay, that's what it means. Acceptance as it is, you know what it is. Conditional acceptance comes with certain kind of conditions. Sometimes it could be providing copyright transfer form along with the final submission. It could be you might have to change a couple of things as suggested by the reviewer or the editor. It might be open access fee, that is article processing charge. Yeah, that might also be there in the conditional acceptance. Major revision is when you have to change more than 30% of your paper. That's when major revision comes. Minor revision is actually usually grammar edits or figure quality improvement of the figure and things like that. Reject and resubmit. This means your paper is not yet ready. This is a direct indication that your paper is not ready. You need to rework and submit at the same place. So that's what number 5 means. Okay. So now this is clear. Let's move on with this thing. The first thing before you write an article, what should you do? There are 3 rules that you follow. First rule is read. Second rule is read. Third rule is also read. You have to read. And along the way, take notes. And not just read, also process that information and act on that information. That is the most critical part. Okay. You can just read 20 lines and you will not register anything in your mind, then that is not reading. Reading means going through each and every part. Look at it carefully. Look at the strategy, what is being followed. Look at the quality of the experiment or quality of design or quality of idea which has been thought through, right? So that's what reading means. Okay. So therefore it's really, really important to read and process the information and act on it. Okay. Now let us see how to read and what to read. So this is a very critical aspect. So you will journal. Okay, every accepted article in a very decent journal, there are three distinct features will be there. Problem statement, very clear problem statement, which is actually relevant. Okay, it should not be a irrelevant problem statement. It should be a relevant one. Solution or the concept behind your solution. It's very important to point out the solution and the concept behind your solution. This is very important. That is the fifth principle. Why that particular thing is advantageous, because maybe that gives some different kind of advantages, and that's why you decided to research on it, and that's why you're writing an article on it. Okay, then you have to very clearly indicate what are the applications of your work. That's very important. And then also there is something I've not mentioned here. The fourth part is small data pointer in the the data, what the data says, and the conclusions, the final part, right? So let us go through this particular paper. Okay, its title and its details. It is written by A. Noda and H. Shinoda from Tokyo University. Okay. Selective wireless power transmission through high Q flat waveguide ring resonator on a 2D waveguide sheet. It was published in IEEE Transactions on Microwave Theory and Techniques. Okay. Now, this, if you go and check this paper, this particular paper has clearly in their title itself, okay, in their title itself, they have shown what they are trying to solve. The title itself mentions the problem they are trying to solve is selective power transmission to receiving units. Okay. The concept they are using is high Q flat waveguide ring resonator, and the application is, of course, wireless power transfer. Okay. So that's what they mention in their very title itself. So therefore, choosing the title also is an art. The title should always follow this particular this thing: problem statement, concept solution, and applications. These are the three necessary ingredients of a good title. Your title should not be more than 16 words long. Never, never, ever, ever. Okay. I'm seeing that people are submitting very long titles as if it's a paragraph. No, you're not supposed to do that. Just have a very small title, as compact as possible, imbibing all three of them: problem statement, solution concept, and applications. Okay. Then there is a second paper which is there, high cytocompatible semi-IPN bioink with wide molecular weight distribution for extrusion in 3D bioprinting. Okay, so this is coming under 3D bioprinting or additive manufacturing. Also, there's got applications in additive manufacturing. So what is the problem they are addressing? Molecular weight hinders the 3D printing. And immediately, the moment I read that sentence, I know that even if I'm not an expert, okay, even then after reading that title, I know that they are trying to address the molecular weight, and probably molecular weight hinders the 3D printing. Okay. The concept which they are bringing is semi-IPN bioink to achieve low molecular weight, probably. Yeah. Wide molecular weight distribution for consistency. This is clear as soon as I read the abstract. Okay. Now 3D bioprinting. So the moment I read that clear title as that, I'll go into my abstract. I'll go and read the abstract. And that's where I get all this information from. Okay. The abstract has these necessary conditions in both the cases. Selective wireless power transfer to receiving units, that is a problem statement. Here in this case, it is molecular weight hinders the 3D printing. The concept they are using here is high Q flat waveguide ring resonator. And here they are, in this case, they are using semi-IPN bioink to achieve low molecular weight, wide molecular weight distribution for consistency. Applications are very clear. One is wireless power transfer, the other one is 3D bioprinting extrusion. Okay. Now, they have also mentioned in their abstract the quantized data metrics. Microwave transmission efficiency achieved was 87.7%. Frequency they were using was 2.45 gigahertz. That is your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth frequency. The Q factor is really high for a flat ring resonator. I mean, like I know I'm an expert in the field, so I will definitely when I look at this, I know that they have achieved very high Q factor there. Okay. Whereas in case of this 3D bioprinting, I'm not an expert, but I can clearly see that they have increased 15% post-printing cell viability verified for the feasibility of the strategy, right? So that is something I will clearly see from their abstract. So I'll show you the abstracts also, so you will understand. They have also written conclusions in the abstract itself. So the conclusion, I mean, like I have paraphrased everything, okay? It is not the original sentences. I have paraphrased it, okay? Results prove that such high efficiency power transmission is possible on the condition that the coupler positions are adjusted to the appropriate positions. So this is something, it was there in the conclusion, so it was verbatim. Okay. Similarly, here also the same thing is there. Now I'll go to the other part, and then I'll come back to the abstract, what more detailed manner. So your first task today should be, I mean, like from now on, should be whenever you read an article, read the abstract first. Take a note of the sequence of the contents that compose the abstract. Okay. Then read the introduction. Compare it back with the abstract. Read the concept. Observe the figures explaining the concept. Compare with the sentence that explains the concept within the abstract again, once again. Okay. Read the design and construction philosophy. Compare with the abstract. Observe carefully how this is summarized in the abstract. Okay. Experiments and results discussions. Observe how it is summarized in the abstract. Once again, right? In conclusion, observe how the abstract summarizes the most important part of the conclusion in the abstract itself. Okay. So this is not, I mean, like, not just abstract, but you also go into the paper and compare. You have to do, a kind of oscillation from here and there, to and fro. Now, this is what a typical reviewer will do it. Okay, that's what a reviewer is going to do when he reads your paper. So you have to really understand the mindset of the reviewer. Okay, and you also need to understand the mindset of the journals. If your abstract is not a cyclic abstract, that is something which gives a good overview, self-contained, then they will reject your paper immediately. Okay. If your figures are bad, if they have to work more than what they have to work on the editing of your article or pagination of your article, they will straight away reject your article. They will not consider it. If the grammar is bad, no chance. Okay. So these are the very important things you have to take care of. Okay. So now that this is clear, this is what you have to do. I've already shared the handout with all of you. When this session is over today, just go through follow these principles. Okay. Now let's go to the generalized understanding. Okay. So here is a social sciences and management and humanities abstract which I have taken from an article. Okay. So you can actually go to the link here. DOI is mentioned. The Review of Economics and Statistics, page 1 to 45. Okay. So see how the first sentence is a very short sentence. Okay. Delivering validated information to rural areas is a major challenge in low-income countries. And notice how many words he has used. 1, 2, 3, and a couple of small words, and then 4, 5, 6. So probably about in 14 words, he has explained he has introduced the context, what they are trying to address, the big problem, right? And then observe the second one. Second line is actually longer than the first line, and it is actually, but still it is very precise, one sentence, summary of the study that has been conducted. Okay. Then they come to the most important part. They add some more information, how the study was conducted. 2 weeks after the initial lockdown in March 2020, we conducted a randomized experiment in rural Bangladesh and India to disseminate health information over the phone. Okay. Now the last part is what they found in this study. We find that relative to information provided via SMS, phone calls can significantly improve people's awareness and compliance with high health guidelines. We also find compliance to be substantially higher among women, which also persists after 3 months of the campaign. So what does this prove actually? The last sentence. We find that relative to information provided via SMS, phone calls are more effective. That's what it proves. This means, see, again, look at the study where this was conducted, rural Bangladesh and India. So what does this tell us about the people from the Indian subcontinent? They dislike reading, even if it is an SMS, they don't want to read. They want to talk, they want to absorb information through a lecture or someone speaking to them. Same problem I'm actually encountering with all our LGPR first batch people, right? So this is a joke, sorry, but this is a serious thing. I mean, like, this actually points out, and this is why social sciences is really, really important, because this tells us about our own, humanities and social sciences. The study is really, really important. Of course, yeah. Although it has lost its charm right now because engineering is ruling and science is ruling, all the funding is there. But for understanding a human being, this is an important field, right? Humanities. Otherwise, I just concluded by reading this paper. I just connected with what is going on with us here in this program, right? So that's why I'm saying, please incorporate reading and processing information. It is not possible to tell each and every one of you over phone call every time, correct? Now let's come to sciences, how sciences approaches this particular abstract writing. So the first thing they introduce is again the pattern is same. They first introduce the problem, right? Mass production of high quality graphene sheet is essential for their practical application in electronics, optoelectronics, and composite materials and energy storage devices. See, this is how beautifully they have written. They are also given a part of the problem statement, and they have also indicated the applications right there in the very first sentence itself. Now they come to what they actually speak about in this particular study. Just observe how clearly they talk about the concept and method being used in just one sentence, right? Here we report a prompt electrochemical exfoliation of graphene sheets using aqueous solutions of different organic salts. So what they basically are meaning is that they probably, I mean, like by this time in my mind, I know when they are talking about exfoliation, they are probably talking about using an electrochemical process, right? They have already mentioned electrochemical process, right? So that means there will be immediately in my mind what is formed is a beaker wherein two electrodes are dipped and this salt is mixed in that, and they will probably pass electricity and that will cause water splitting. I can clearly, I mean, I connect it with my class 8, science book. Yeah. And the bubbles of hydrogen and oxygen will form, and the obviously the oxygen bubbles are bigger. They have more mass. They can displace all the graphene from the surface of the substrate, which is usually aluminum or copper. That's what they use. Okay. How do I know that that is they grow graphene on copper or aluminum? Because once I did for 3 months I did work with graphene, so that's why I know. And the exfoliation in these electrolytes leads to graphene with a yield rate of, see how they have added more statistics to this, right? This green part. Here they have actually put in a lot of relevant information which points out why their method is a champion method, okay, compared to others. Okay. Now they have also mentioned the size. They also give you the idea of the size readily fabricated on a A4 size paper by applying brush painting of a concentrated graphene ink. So they have used graphene ink here. They have not used a what do you call it, CVD method. Okay, they have used a graphene method. So this is room temperature graphene. That's what they are doing. With a CVD, they will be doing it at very high temperatures. Okay, and probably in a glass chamber kind of a thing, cylindrical glass chamber. So that's what they do. They take it to 1,000 degrees centigrade, and that's what I used to work on. The graphene grows on that 1,000 degrees centigrade and above when it comes to when the substrates are either what do you call it, copper or aluminum. But in this case, commercially available graphene ink is being used, and they are actually they just coated it on a A4 size paper, and then they exfoliated the graphene. Now they can use that exfoliated graphene either for displays or composite materials or energy storage devices or optoelectronics, things like that. Now, here they explain what results have been achieved. All solid-state flexible supercapacitors manufactured on the basis of such graphene film. That means the exfoliation has been done here, and then they have created supercapacitors for energy storage. Okay. Now, when you talk about energy storage, basically they want to use it like a battery. That's what supercapacitors are used for. Now, the larger the area, obviously the higher the capacitance and the higher the storage capacity of voltage and charge. Class 12 physics, right? Remember, that's what we studied there. So this is what they have actually very beautifully in a very small, 150 words, they have explained everything. Okay. This article also you can check. It's available on this link. Okay. Now let's go to the original Noda Shinoda paper, which I was talking about, and it's a 250-word abstract from IEEE. Yeah, because IEEE allows you up to 250 words abstract. Different journals have different requirements for abstract word count. A lot of people don't know that, so I'm just making it clear. See the pattern again. Number one, observe how they introduce the context to the problem and how it is trying to solve. So 2D waveguide power transmission can potentially provide a safe and wireless means of electricity transfer, because there is no contact. No physical contact of electricity means there is no chance of breakage of the conductor or short circuit or shocks, right? That's why power transmission, wireless power transmission is safe for the humans and everyone else. That's what they are trying to say in this first two lines, which is actually true. Um, Provided it is within the ICNRP regulations, so wireless power transfer is safe. Okay. Then the second yellow highlighted part here, our goal is to develop a 2D system, a 2D WPT system, in which the power is transferred only to a special receiver device and not to other objects. Observe how it clearly states the objective of the presented work. So they just want to, transmit power to a specific device, not to other objects, right? If you start sending power to other objects, they will be, for example, your cell phone and other things, you will start receiving power in the cell phone and the cell phone might go bad, right? So you don't want to do that. So that's why you want to design a device in such a way that it transfers power from only one device to the targeted device or set of devices. That's what it is. Okay. Then they, for this particular thing, they now introduce the concept, okay, which is the step 3. For this purpose, a new high-quality Q factor receiver coupler is designed, while Q for other general objects are reduced by a thick insulator layer on the sheet. Now, they further explain the concept and how the objective of this title of the paper is achieved, okay? So that's what they do here in the red highlighted thing. So you can actually read through it. Okay? So I won't be able to see your messages even if you are messaging right now. So please hold on that thought. Okay. In the contrast in Q, in this contrast in Q enables selective power transmission to the receiver couple. What they actually mean here is that the Q factor is so high that they can actually now narrow down the resonance curve. Okay, that's very, very high technical detail. I won't bore you with that. But what it actually means is that you are actually now reducing the frequency bandwidth in which the power transmission is happening. So that's why you are actually striking the device with a very, very pinpoint accuracy. You're not allowing other devices to be affected by the power. That's what it means. Okay, that means you're setting the resonant frequency. For example, your cell phone operates at 2.45 gigahertz. The Wi-Fi operates at 2.45 gigahertz. It does not operate at 2.5 gigahertz. It does not operate at 2.3 gigahertz. It's a very specific frequency, 2.45 gigahertz. But if I'm going to transmit the same thing on 2.35 gigahertz, your cell phone won't be able to receive that signal. So this is what this actually high Q factor means. Okay. So you are restricting the zone of frequency, the band of frequency. In that particular zone only, you're going to transmit. The rest of the zone, if you're transmitting, your device will not be able to tune itself to that. Okay. And it will not receive anything. That's what it is. Then they keep on adding some more layers of information which are in depth. So they also tell that they carried out a full wave simulation to validate their thing. And they also fabricated these couplers and examined a large on a large sheet. And they also explain that there is a standing wave generated, which is again, standing wave is a concept of physics. So that's how they are actually doing all these things. And then the last 3 lines actually provide the statistical information, okay, in which they talk about the 50 ohm matching of the couplers. Then they also talk about 90 centimeter by 60 centimeter large waveguide sheet, which is simultaneously powering devices, and the total microwave transmission efficiency is achieved at 87.70%. So they have given statistics right there in the beginning itself, right? So now my mind is set. Now I'm the reviewer. Now after reading all this, I realize, okay, this is an interesting paper. Let me go to what this paper is all about. Okay. Now, here is a cheat sheet which I have prepared for arts, humanities, and management people. Okay. And this is how you should probably document every paper you read. In your mind, again, if you're going to do it in your mind will change, memories change, remember, and the information changes accordingly. So document it, write it, probably in an Excel sheet or probably in a Word file with this kind of, tables, Or you could use Google Docs, which is a very helpful tool because it will save things in as you go. You don't have to worry about saving it again and again. Type it, it gets saved. Okay. So here, look at the abstract. The first item is introduction. So what it says, delivery of correct information to masses in low-income countries is a challenge. That's a big problem, right? That's a problem statement right there in the opening statement itself. Okay. Now the objective, they talk about the objective of the study. So they want to communicate the correct information, okay, on prevention and precautions in the case of COVID-19 outbreak in rural communities. So it's a very clear objective right there. Okay. Then they talk about the methodologies and findings and conclusions in the last row, right? They did between March 2020, they conducted during the initial lockdown, they conducted a randomized experiment in rural Bangladesh, India, disseminating health information over the phone. And they also did it over the SMS. The government was already doing it over the SMS, but people were ignoring SMSs, probably because they don't want to read, or probably they think it is spam. Correct? Both the things are there. Let's give a benefit of doubt further. Okay. And then, but then the phone calls are changing people's awareness, right? That's what they find. But not reading SMS, I really don't agree. People do read things, but they are only interested in certain kind of things. Okay. So that's why I'm not going to give a benefit of doubt. But, when they make this claim that, the last sentence, they have found a claim that we find that the compliance to be substantially higher among women, which also persists after 3 months of the campaign. After reading this, you need to ask one thing. Is this study lacking somewhere? I mean, like, is this abstract lacking somewhere? Okay, I will say this abstract is still incomplete. Okay, because there is no mention of the sample size in the abstract. Okay, there is no explanation how this randomized study was or experiment was conducted. They didn't speak about that. How many villages they've covered, how many how many people they disseminated the information to, so that thing is not there, okay, to support this particular abstract. And this is the problem. This is the problem, not in terms of journals, but when you try to publish something like this probably in a conference article, and maybe out of 100 articles, maybe if 10 articles are like this and they are getting accepted, then be assured that your conference will not be indexed anywhere, neither in Scopus nor in SCL, because the quality matters, because the quality has been compromised. So be wary. Your one bad article can spoil the chances of everyone else. Okay, and then you will be asking the conference organizer why your article was not indexed. So it's a collective responsibility. Just think through. Whatever you are going to write is going to directly or indirectly affect everyone else. Okay, that's just the golden rule. Okay, and anyone wanted to say something? Okay, so we will go for lunch break at about 1 o'clock. Am I correct? It's 12:15 now. Okay. So now coming to the cheat sheet for science people, those who are from the science people, again, go through this cheat sheet. I already covered it in the previous slide. I'm not going to repeat of it. But you also need to understand what is the depth of the experiments here. That is another, filter you have to apply, right? Whether there has been enough depth to claim all these things. So then you will go into the main article of this. Engineering people, again, I've already covered. Same thing, apply all the same concepts. Okay. Now, what you should avoid, that is the most important thing. Now you know what you should do, but what is to be avoided? See how this particular abstract reads itself. It starts with I. I examine how a company headquarters use an empire building manager's report about decision relevant, blah, 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 things like that. But here they have actually, to this end, I construct a model comprising of the headquarters. See, you should not use I. That's very rude. But I don't know how this particular article got published. probably because the person was an authority figure in the field. Okay. If somebody like Stephen Hawkins probably writes a paper in his field, maybe he is going to write I, but even that person is not going to write I. That person is going to say it was observed in the experiment, in this study, blah, 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 things like that. Okay. Now, what not to do again? Laser radar for tracking airborne targets. See the title. It does not give you any information about what is the problem, what is the problem statement, what is the concept being used, and what is the application. Straight away, it says laser track radar for tracking airborne targets. That's not a great. See the abstract. An instrument tracker that quickly shows the position of high-speed targets with great precision is described. The range is determined by FMCW radar. Azimuth and elevation angles are recorded on magnetic tape or readout to a computer. Again, it violates the three basic principles, three essential components of a good writing. There is no problem statement, there is no solution concept, there is no application. So this is really, really important. Please bear this in mind. Okay. Now look at FM-CW. What is FM? Frequency modulated. CW is what? Complete wave, composite wave? I don't know, right? Or convoluted wave? I don't know. Never use this kind of abbreviation in an abstract. That's the first thing you need to avoid. Okay. If you are going to introduce something like that, some abbreviation, first give its full form. In the bracket, write this short form, and then for the rest of the paper, use this short form. Okay, that's how people do it. Okay, that's the thing. Then again, this is another one. What is not to be done? A novel compact SAR reduced patch antenna using short pins for handheld devices. Again, this is a halfway attempt in describing your this thing. Okay, again, I'm not happy with the title then. Okay. Then again, look at it, how this abstract has been written. Look at each and every part. The first part is the gray part. A simple, compact, single element SAR reduced part patch antenna with wide beam width and reduced exposure of electromagnetic radiation towards the human head by loading of short pins is proposed in this paper. No, not the way, not the correct way. Okay. Abstract, it is, although it is beginning with a good, opening sentence, but then, it quickly deviates into something else. Okay. Initially, there is a simple compact element, a single element SAR reduced patch antenna with wide beam and reduced exposure of electromagnetic radiation. That's fine. But then again, the next line onwards, metallic pins are inserted at specific locations. So see, they got all mixed up. They have not well done. Okay, not a well quantized paper. That's what I would say. They explain the concept. Okay, in the second line, that is a red highlighted part, but they have not given us any kind of visual information. When one reviewer reads it, he or she will not be able to get the visual information in their mind. You have to give visual information. Okay. Now the last part, the shorted antenna also has a wider beam width compared to that of a conventional RSM. Now I don't know what is an RMSA, sorry, right? I don't know. You should actually introduce what is RMSA before talking about RMSA. Okay. It provides zero metrics. There is no statistics, okay, of the results achieved. Nothing is there. It's a black box, right? You don't want to spend your time, because let's say you are a researcher, okay? Think about the future, okay? Let's say you have published this paper, and somebody is actually wanting to, do a literature survey, comes across your paper and thinks that, okay, this may not be relevant to me. How will he know that your paper is relevant to him or not? And this is the reason why you also cannot get good citations, because a good paper draft with a good abstract is also going to fetch you good citations. So that's why this is important. Correct? There has to be a qualitative and quantitative, significance must be explained in a quantized way. Not just qualitative data, but also quantitative data is really, really important. More samples now. So this was the original abstract, right? So here you have the original abstract. Now see how I have actually, if I were him, how I would do it. I would actually probably talk about the international regulatory on minimizing the harmful effect of radio frequency electromagnetic waves on human tissue and body organs to specific absorption rate has been regulated at 2 watts per kg. That's what I would come to. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to talk about, because that is the problem. That is what you are supposed to. That's a technical challenge. Every antenna must comply with 2 watts per kg of SAR, specific absorption rates. And then I'll come to what I do in this paper. In this paper, we present an antenna that reduces the SAR by inserting short pins at areas with strong surface current density along with the patch of the antenna at carefully selected locations. See, that's where I'm talking about the concept. Very, very very pointed reference to the concept. Inserted shorted pins. This is the method. At areas with strong surface current density along with patch of the antenna at carefully selected locations. So this is what I do here. Okay, we present 2 kinds of antenna designs. Now again, I'm explaining what we are doing, right, in the paper. That is how this study was conducted. Okay. Then we go to the next part. We say that we have conducted full wave simulations. Okay, we cross-verified the experimental evaluation in an anechoic chamber. So this is actually, we are giving away the information on how the experiments were carried out. We show that the presented concept can compact the size of the antenna to 0.33 multiplied by 0.23 multiplied by 0.013 lambda, which is lambda is actually a full wavelength. Okay, so that's the ratio of that, with SAR reduction to 0.015 watt per kg. See, the regulatory says 2 watts per kg. Here we have achieved 0.15 watt per kg. An impedance bandwidth of 1.71 at 10. The presented work has a potential applications for wearable antennas, biomedical devices, and handheld telecommunication devices that require an overall reduction in SAR. So now, if I am a researcher and I am searching for SAR reduction mechanisms, okay, then I immediately know that this particular paper is very important for me. So I'll start reading the paper, and probably this will become one of my very important citations in my own article, right? I'm a researcher now. I'm not the author of this article. This was probably written by you. Now I come here, I will see this, then I will cite it. So that's how you get a citation, right? That's how that works. Now, generalized understanding. That is the most important part. Now we come to the main article now. Okay, this is the third layer of abstraction. Until now, you saw the first layer and the second layer. First layer was your title. Second layer was your abstract. Third layer is your introduction and other part of the entire part of your article. See, in the first short sentence, they start with a very short and sweet, simple sentence. Okay, they set the tone there. Then there are longer sentences coming in, 1 or 2 lines, sets the tone for the reasons of the study. And then when you read through this, for instance, the failure to deliver the latest information on flood warnings can risk millions of lives in flood-prone villages, etc., etc. They are actually quoting, they are actually citing one work by Manuscript and Hills in 2020. They actually explain the actions, the consequences, and they also back up their sentences with a reference. Okay. Then in the last part of this paragraph, they define the problem statement. Okay. Now you also need to understand how this problem statement is defined. The way they are writing it is actually connecting all these 1, 2, and 3 instances together. Okay. Just go through this introduction. I have actually selected very, very good examples for all of you. So go to your handouts today, read this. I'll share the recorded video, so you will know what to read and where to pay specific attention. Okay, because you might forget this even after this session. So that's why we're recording this session, and we'll share the session. All right. So this is very important here. Okay. Now again, further in this, as we go deeper into this article, they start the objective in a more detailed manner and compare it with this. Now go back to the abstract of this article and compare with the abstract. Okay, that's what you do. Then they point out the issue with the availability of over information in the public domain and how that particular information is actually confusing other people. Okay, worldwide. Okay, on public health messages and things like that. Again, SMS, phone call.
we come back to the same SMS phone call ideology. Okay. Now, here they actually, in this particular section, they are actually describing the reviewers and the audiences, that how they are actually conducting this, these studies based on the earlier literature review, where these particular things were not explored in depth. Okay, so that's what they are telling us. Literature review can stretch for a page or two, but then also, if you are going to write only 6-page article, I would expect that you tabularize the literature review. It's better to tabularize the literature review in a short, table, and point out only the very specific things. Don't overdo literature review. Don't do it more than required. Okay. At the same time, don't underdo it. You have to decide. For example, if you are going to write an 18 pages article, then 1 or 2 pages of literature review is fine. But if you are going to write a 12-page article, I would recommend that half a page of literature review should be given. Okay. And if it's a 6-page article, then just simply use a table, compare what is what and things like that. Nobody, just like how you or your colleagues might not be interested to read that much. Maybe that's also the case with other people as well. They may not read that much also. But as I already said, Indians and the Indian subcontinent people, that includes Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, they don't like to read. I have seen that Sri Lanka people, they read a lot. They do read. Okay. Likewise, I've seen Myanmar and Thailand, Indonesia, not Indonesia, Myanmar, Thailand, and in that ASEAN region, those people read a lot. Okay. And they are very, methodist when it comes to reading. They process information properly. Again, Indonesia, I have found them to be, skipping just like us. Okay, there is a problem with Malaysia. Same case with Malaysia also. Malaysians also, some read, some don't. Again, that depends on how they were trained by their particular, educational system. So there are 2 parts in Malaysia also. Okay. Now coming to Chinese, they read a lot. Koreans, oh my God, they are the devils of details. Okay, they will go through each and every detail. Probably you will even write something and forget about it, but they will read it and they will ask you how this is related to that. And you will not be expecting that they will be asking that question, and the question will stem from there. Okay. Japanese read a lot and they process information properly. Europeans, always, they are the champions of that. Okay, they are the champions of reading and processing information. They prefer reading rather than listening. That's something I've seen in the European audience. Now coming to Africa, again, it's a mixed bag. Yeah, Africa is again mixed bag. So this is the overall picture. So probably Russians they read, but the Russians are more, they understand things from a mathematical perspective. Their ability to understand mathematics is amazing. You will not find it anywhere else. Nobody else on the earth are as good as Russians when it comes to modeling something using mathematics. Okay. Their approach philosophy is to first understand the physical concept and then mathematically model it. Whereas the Indian philosophy is to first get the mastery over the equation and then use that to model something. So there is a reverse this thing. Okay. But both methods are effective. But Indians have a problem. They don't read, they don't process, they don't understand. Not because they're dumb or something, but because their priority is something else, right? It's all about priorities. Now, again, coming back to this article, Humanities and Management, experimental results, look at it. Look at this survey, the timeline of the survey, the sample size, the method of the data collection, and the limitations of the survey method. So these are the important aspects of a survey. Then the review, classify the existing studies, which is actually literature review. Okay, and you can go through it. So you have to provide details, okay, graphical and tabular data in such a way that all these things are properly summed up in your paper. Okay. Then if it is a theoretical, so what I'm talking about, if it's a survey article, these are the required components. If it's a review article, these are the required components. If it's a theoretical article, you have to have hypothesis, mathematical model wherever necessary, simulation based on mathematical model to support your hypothesis, and things like that. Okay. Now I'll come back to this in a review article once again. You see, I've seen some of you, I mean, like some of the people who have sent their submissions to me, asking to help in submission to an appropriate journal. They are writing a review article and sending it to me. When I go through the review article, I find some problems. Okay, especially when it comes to tables and graphs, and figures. So I'll come to that part in the later part of this particular presentation of this workshop. Now, look at this particular, reference which I have provided here, source here, the intergeneration transmission of risk and trust attitudes. Okay. So they have actually specified where the data comes from in the very first go. Okay, in the data description. And this is a standard writing style that you should follow if you are from management, economics, humanities, and psychology. Okay. Okay. You have to clearly mention if the data is of a successor of a previous study which was conducted. Okay, then please cite the original source because they are the pioneers of it. Okay. Now here, see how they have actually mentioned the wave here. Wave is nothing but sample size of 22,000 individuals. Each wave means each wave would be each cohort or study group is of 22,000 individuals. Okay. So this is the foundation of the experiments. Okay. Which one is going to describe in the article. This is an important method of writing. This is a very important method of writing. I hope really senior professors in arts and humanities will agree with this. Okay. So you go through this, have this handy. I have mentioned the source in the handout. You go through that article because it's not possible for me to, explain everything in 4 hours session. This particular session was actually designed for 16 hours and I'm trying to cram it up in 4 hours. Okay. That's how it is. Then again, there is a detailed description of the extent and limitation is mentioned in this particular paragraph. Okay. Then they also mention, as a more conservative and robustness check, we verify that our results are sustained when we restrict the sample to children who live in separate household from their parents. So this is an inclusion-exclusion criteria defined, basically. Correct. So that's what they have done that. Now again, they have also described what is their questionnaire like. Okay. I have seen this description missing in many of the articles which I have seen of late in the arts and humanities sector. Okay. So this is a very classic way of writing it. You have to do it this way. It's best to follow this. And I'm telling you, if you are going to follow these methods, okay, the humanities and management people, you will be very easily be able to, secure your publication in one of the top Q1, Q2 journals, SCI journals, which is hosted by Springer Nature. Okay. It's called, I think, Humanities and Management Communications or something, which is actually very highly cited open access journal, and we will be able to support the open access fee. You will have to contact Dr. Gupta about it. Okay, Dr. Gupta will help you with finding a funder for this thing. Okay. Then again, check. Hypothesis has to be mentioned. Okay, very, very clearly in your paper. Okay, the opening statement should begin with a hypothesis. When you talk about, results, when you explain the results, start describing the results. Okay, and then you have to also explain how your study is going to achieve this goal, how your study has achieved the goals which you had originally thought of. Okay, then you also need to, it is also a very good idea to, mention, at least in some depth, the rationale behind your survey questionnaire. Okay, and how that survey questionnaire is actually supporting your hypothesis or opposing the hypothesis or testing the hypothesis and the original goal which you had set out for the paper. Okay, that's very important. Right? Always give a very pointed reference, okay, to the graph which you are drawing, and explain your graph and support that graph to to the findings of your paper, right? The finding can be like, you might have a positive hypothesis, you might have a negative hypothesis. It's fine. Okay, your hypothesis will, the point of the hypothesis is to test whether your hypothesis is met or not, whether it's a null or void. Okay, so that's also fine. But the graph, whatever you represent in the paper, because remember, this is you have a very restricted space, and you have to make good use of that space. It is not an exam where you are writing pages after pages just to show, bulk up your paper, so that expecting that somewhere the evaluator will give you some additional marks for writing so much. No, it's not like that. This doesn't work like that. Okay, so just be very, very specific, have a very, very specific objectives in mind, show very, very specific objective data. Okay, the data should be objective. Then again, so examples of a bullet pointed references. So here is what I have taken from the paper. This paper I cannot copy from the paper because it's actually not, the PDF is not supportive of me copying and pasting. So I had to type it manually. So they have actually given this bullet points, fewer siblings and the firstborn. Okay, that's what they're in the bullet point they're actually talking about. Then they are talking about receptive type. So they are actually addressing very two important points in their study, that either you have fewer siblings or the firstborns, and how their intergenerational correlation is established about the risk taking and trust attitudes, okay, and towards life. So that's what the study is about. Okay. Then very important aspect which most people miss in their paper is mentioning, very, very solidly mentioning, what are the limitations of your study. So you have to mention the limitations of your study, because the limitations of your study indicate to others that what they have to do next, right? It's a progressive thing, right? So if you want people to, right, and if you want people to continue your work, okay, and make it bigger, then it's like your legacy, right? You're leaving behind a legacy. Some new crop is going to come, and he or she is going to start working on your earlier findings, and then progress it further, right, and make it better. So you get credited all the time. Every time someone is coming in your field, looks at that, this is a limitation, so let me pick up from here, let me go ahead with this, so I will cite this person's work anyway. They are going to become the fundamental references of my work, right? So that's how your citations increase. So this is a very important aspect which most people forget. They think mentioning limitations is bad. No, it's not. Mentioning limitations is really, really important, because for two reasons. One, it shows that you are human. You are not superhuman. Okay, to the reviewer, right? He understands. Okay, they are accepting readily that these are the limitations. So fine. Second thing, what it does is that it opens up avenues for other people to follow up on your work and make your work as a base reference for their work. So then you get citations, and that's how the field keeps on progressing. Okay, so that's how it works. And it also gives you a perfect excuse to work, do a follow-up study on your earlier work. So that's the thing. Now let's come to the sample introduction for science people again. Okay. So again, same things, okay. But in science, when the space is restricted, you probably would not want to go too long into adding the introduction part. Directly, you will come to the challenge, and in a very concise way, you will mention the literature review. Okay, here you will see 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So they have already mentioned in the references, okay, where you have to go. Yeah. And then this particular part should not be longer than this. Okay, it should be just, you should wind up everything here itself. Okay, and then see how it establishes the base for the introduction here. Recently, electrochemical exfoliation of graphite has attracted attention due to its easy, fast, and environmentally friendly nature to produce high quality graphene. Now they are giving references to the works based references. Okay. Now they actually carry on. They will now explain what is the problem, and then again they will come to the concept introduced. Okay, so they probably mentioned the limitations as well in the previous work here itself, and also they have also introduced why this particular work is being explored. Okay, and then they actually introduce the concept in a very short paragraph. Okay, and so this is a journal of the American Chemical Society, and of course this is a continuation of the your concept. This paragraph is a continuation of this one. Whatever you see here is continued here as a this thing. So, but then look at this. This in a very few words, they have introduced the concept and they move on to the experiments and things like that. So your it should neither be too long nor it should be too short. Okay, right? Now they talk about the results and discussions. Now look at the figures. These figures are telling a story. If I look at this figure, I don't even have to read the paper anymore. So making figures is really, really important. And as we progress throughout this day, we'll understand why making figures is really important. Okay. For example, here, graphene preparation by electrochemical exfoliation is the heading. Now, if you look at the figure, this is called a composite style figure. Okay. That is, there are many different sub-figures which are making one large figure. Okay. And that is known as figure 1. So the first one is the graphene in a beaker. Then they mix it in a solution that becomes your part 1B. Yeah, 2.5 milligrams of graphene per milliliter is the concentration. Okay, and then the C, the part is the graphene powder on a bulk scale. Okay, that's what it is produced. Okay. And then now what is that last one is actually the graphene, which was actually increased. The parameter was readjusted to 16 to get about 16.3 grams. That's what they probably put it in the solution here. Now observe D. D tells a big story. This is basically the whole concept of the way. Your graphene is this particular graphene you are putting in the solution here. Okay, that solution is also, you're also adding some salt to that solution. Okay. And then you are actually dipping that, remember that A4 size paper which was coated with this solution? You are dipping it in the electrochemical solution. So that's what is showing the several layers of graphene. Now you apply a voltage to the beaker, and then there are these bubbles which are formed. Now you see this bubble, H2O bubble, SO4 bubble, and then you have oxygen bubble, carbon CO bubble, and SO2 bubble. Okay. Now here you have got O2 here. The O2 is really large. So it's a CO and O2 and SO2 which is going to displace the these layers. So these bubbles infiltrate these layers, the gaps between the layers, and then they start, separating these layers. And finally, you have exfoliated graphene because it's undergoing rapid expansion and contraction. And what happens when expansion contraction happens? You have a breakage, and that's how the graphene is exfoliated as several different layers. So that's what this particular thing is explaining. Once I look at this, I now know very well what I have to do. Okay, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to read the entire paper. I only have to pay specific attention to specific places. Okay. And then see, in science, one thing is very important. When you don't have definitive answers, and you don't need to have definitive answers, you will maintain a tone called a neutral tone, where you use words like may. Okay. Notice here, during the stage, water molecules may intercalate with the SO4 ions, radical ions, okay, anions. So that means what they are trying to do is that probably this is the case, okay, because maybe some people are some reviewers are very particular about these kind of things. So you have to take that into account. You have to introduce these kind of words, okay. And then they bring in a hypothesis which was confirmed by a controlled experiment again. Okay, here they have brought in a hypothesis, and they also mention how their hypothesis is supported by the data observed in this paper. So this is a very high standard way of writing a paper. So you must practice this kind of comment. Go through this very carefully, these two paragraphs, and you'll probably understand. And then you go back to this figure. I mean, like the science people. This also applies to engineering people also. You can also do it the same way. Likewise, humanities and management people can also draw figures in their respective areas. Now you're going to say, but I don't know how to draw figures. Well, that's why you have students, right? Make them do it, no problem. Or learn how to do it. It's fun actually. Drawing figures is fun. I draw all my figures myself. But then there are also Photoshop guys which Chinese authors use. I know that very well. Okay, I was in China, so I know what they do. Now here we check this particular thing. They have brought in their hypothesis and data together, and they are kind of complementing each other in this particular thing. You really need to read this paper to understand what I'm saying. Okay, you must practice this kind of method. So this reference is already mentioned in this presentation. You just have to search it and you will find it. Okay. So then see how they have actually done the figures. Now you see here 0s, that is your mentioning the time at which this image was taken. Okay. Then 10 seconds later, then 60 seconds later. So you can see, as you can see in the first thing, it is a solid block. 0 seconds, nothing is changed. The initial stage of the graphene layer is the graphite electrode. There's no problem. After that, 10 seconds later, after application of the whatever experimental conditions or experiment, they observed that the rippled layers have started forming due to gas molecules expanding in them. And then finally 60 seconds later, the breakage of the layers with graphite. So that's what they are doing. But also remember, all figures must be linked to the hypothesis and claims you're making. Okay. Do not use irrelevant figures. Otherwise, the people are going to see through it and they are going to reject your paper because thinking that you don't have much technical content to state. Okay, so that's why you're trying to cover it with too many figures. Okay, don't do that. Don't use too many figures. Okay, and also if you are left with, if you are supposed to write about, upper limit is about 8 pages. Don't try to fill all 8 pages. It's not mandatory. This is not an exam paper. Remember that. This is not a semester exam. Okay. This is a research article. This is a research paper, not an exam paper. All right. Okay. So we'll continue. I think it is time now. We'll break. Yeah. Let me come back and let me address some of your questions if you have. So far, we are taking a break for a question and answer session. Then we will go for lunch, and then we'll meet after lunch again. Okay. Now the floor is open for questions. If you have any questions, please ask. Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. I have one question actually. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So let's say if I write a paper right now,
Mm.
and then as you said, it may go on to the review. Some of the journals may take a longer time for the review.
Yes.
So by that time, the certain literature that we are putting may get old. So in that case, usually maybe for one journal, after 6 months, I get a rejection.
Mm.
And again, putting it in the another journal will take another 6 more months. So that will be leading the literature review become older. So what
Does not
you
matter.
can suggest on this, sir?
No, it does not matter. See,
Huh.
you
Okay.
base your article on a base literature review, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. It's not that every article that gets published, you are not going to mention that in your list. You are only going to mention what is relevant to your objective, correct?
Right, sir. Right, right.
Right.
Okay, but many times now what happens is that the journal reviewer says that your review have not included the latest. Let's say I'm writing the paper in 2024.
Okay,
But
that's okay. You can always tell them that, at the time when this paper was originally conceived and written, when this work was being done, at that time this review did not this does not exist. I mean, like the bulk of our, I mean, like this is not our base reference. Our base reference is so and so forth. That's what you have mentioned. It's okay to mention that, but then
okay.
you also say thank you for pointing out, and I'm going to include this in my edited listing.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Dr. Sai, may I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have seen that lot of these science, engineering, papers get published really faster because um, it it probably depends on the scientific data or whatever. But when it comes to the management, social sciences, the journal really take a lot of time, and it is not publishable sometimes. So how do we find out the journals which can probably accept our papers, though it is quality papers, but because of the percentage rates, they deny, and a lot of such comments come from these journals. So how do we go about finding journals for the management and social sciences?
Okay. So first thing first, why science and engineering articles get published fast and management and humanities papers don't get published that fast? That's a fair question. What actually happens is that the number of people in science and engineering are more, so you have more chances of finding more number of reviewers are there at any given point. Whereas in case humanities and management, because the funding is so restricted, uh, many people don't opt for humanities and management these days, and hence you have less number of uh, tech people at hand, right? So that's why it takes long. That's one thing. Second thing, in science and engineering, there is directly a quantifiable data is presented most of the times. Okay. Whereas in case of humanities management, it is more of a qualitative, many times it becomes a philosophical article more than based in this kind of thing. So you really have to look how you will manage that particular aspect. If you take care of the quantization of data, the chances of your paper getting published become fast, right? High. And as far as your second question is how to find if a journal is actually fast or what is the timeline taken, I will just walk you through an example right now. So I'm actually looking at Journal of Accountability in Research. Okay. So when I come to the journal metrics, the journal metrics will give out the most of the data which I require. Citation metrics, speed and acceptance. Okay. First decision comes whether this is desk rejection, okay, or 1 day's average for submission to first decision, which is actually a desk rejection. It is not yet your peer review. Peer review process begins after this particular stage, so it goes into a 50-day average time from submission to post first review decision. After that, 12 days of average from acceptance to online publication. Acceptance rate is 20%. So the really good publishing outlets maintain this track record. Okay, these kind of these things are there. For let's go to another journal from let's say from this one, yeah, Taylor and Francis. Let's go into Taylor and Francis. More journals, right? More of it. China Economic Journal. Let's go to China Economic Journal. Go to journal metrics here. Once you go there, they have mentioned it. Impact factor 3.7, quartile Q1, right? All this is there. Okay. And all this data comes from your indexers data. So they reflect it here. So they cannot fake this data. Okay. This is a standard data. Then speed of acceptance, 13 days average from submission to first decision, 9 days average from acceptance to online publication, 11% acceptance rate. Okay. Then you have American Journal of Mathematical and Management Sciences. Go to journal metrics once again. Oh, yeah. So 2.7 impact factor, Q2 and site score as, I don't know how much is a site score, but it says SNIP is 1.038. Speed of acceptance, now see 99 days average from submission to first decision, 22% acceptance rate. And so these are the various, things which are mentioned in a good job. Okay. I'm really pointing out to Taylor and Francis because they have one of the highest number of journals in management and humanity.
Okay, so I also look for these hybrid journals so that you know that these journals have both, the payment as well as the non-payment categories. So that also helps in finding the journals, right?
Sure, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
You could actually look for try going for one open access and two free journals in a year.
Okay.
That
Okay.
what happens that your visibility is maintained across the stage. Open access journals means more visibility because anyone sitting in any corner of the world with an internet connection can read your article without having to go through a subscription paywall. Okay.
Right.
Does
Right.
not need to access through the university's internet system, so that they have access to the subscription journals, right? So
Right.
that open access is a good and a revolutionary step. Anyway,
Okay.
let's go ahead. Anyone else?
No, thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone else having any
Sir.
questions?
Sir, I want to ask one thing.
So thank you, sir. Thank you for this nice introduction.
Time, please.
Sir, I want to ask.
Yeah. Dr. Nakul
Sir,
Sharma?
my
Yes.
question is,
Hello.
how much good it is to use AI tools in writing papers, making it faster, and again for figures and all aspects. AI tools are
Okay,
helping in
that
writing
part
paper.
was second part of this thing, but I will tell you something. If you are going to use AI, okay, one, there is
Yes.
an ethical issue there. Okay. Second, who is the author of the paper? Are you the author of the paper, or ChatGPT is the author of the paper? That's the big problem, right? So AI cannot be an author of the paper, right? So you should probably write your paper. Probably you can use AI for grammar editing. Okay, grammatical thing. But structure and logic, that has to be done by you, because if you are going to depend on AI for structure and logic, then AI detection software will detect that. But grammar editing, AI detection software will not usually detect that. That's what happens. Okay, you should focus on the grammar editor. If you are going to use AI, use grammar edit for grammar edit. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, somewhat. Yeah, okay. That yes, people are using that, and yes, again they are using that grammar edit and all, and people
Grammar-
are making faster.
Hmm.
And yes, of course, making some equations. Yes, we are background is engineering, so I am asking that way. I'm saying in that way that people use figures, equations, and all that very suitable by using that AI. So yes, of course, the chances of getting acceptance is more. Even though yes, of course, problem statement, solution, application, including the title, everything is being done by AI. So again,
Yeah,
that thing
that's
is,
a problem, right? If you are going to do that, after you'll stop, you won't be able to write an email also.
yeah.
That's correct. That's already happening to a lot of people I know. That's why I don't use AI to write my things. I write my sentences myself. And then if I have some doubt I have low confidence in my grammar skills, then at certain sections, again, majority of the time, I try to improve my grammar day by day. But that's what you should do as well. As a researcher, that is the first job I said, reading and processing information. That is the most important. Because if you're not going to read and process information, then you'll have to rely on AI. And once you start relying on AI, after a while, AI takes over, you are doing nothing. Correct. So try to write, because once you write or once you start reading, that's when you also get new ideas for research, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, if you start writing, there will be hundreds of ideas running through your mind.
Yes, yes.
Right. So that's the thing. That's the advantage of writing. Anyway,
Okay,
uh,
sir.
yeah, thank you. Dr. Nakul, you were actually asking something.
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you very much, at the onset for this very detailed and informative session. Sir, the question is that how the structure of this paper will change if we are writing a review article or a survey article. Sir,
Okay.
this is one query. And related question is that in case there is no detailed protocol which is described within this survey paper, that if any protocol is not executed, the protocol is like maybe a systematic mapping study or systematic literature review. If that is not conducted, then how to still get the paper accepted? Means what should be the contours basically which are essential for acceptance of a survey paper without having any research
So,
protocols?
okay. First of all,
Thank you.
I am not a fan of survey papers or literature, like review papers. I'm not.
Okay, sir.
Although I have one or two articles, but they are not written by me. Somebody made me a co-author. I agreed to be on co-authors. But otherwise, I'm not a fan of review articles. I don't write review articles. I don't encourage review articles because already a lot of people are doing that, and they are useless. They don't add anything new to the already existing body of knowledge, right? So I'm the wrong person if you're going to ask about literature review or survey articles. But I have already explained briefly, very, very briefly, what a literature review, what are the important essential elements of a literature review article and a survey article are. I think it was mentioned here. Let me just share my screen once again. Then you will understand what I was talking about. But I'm the wrong person when it comes to those kind of articles. I've been a hardcore researcher all my life, so I really don't like literature, like those kind of survey articles. I already asked a couple of some of the students, some of the candidates whom I'm actually what do you call it, supervising. I told them to drop my name from those kind of articles. Already have done that. It's fine. I listen. Just a moment. I had actually shown this somewhere here. Yeah, here. So for a survey article, okay, you should have timeline of the survey, sample size of the survey, method of the data collection, limitations of the survey methods. Review article classify the existing studies into various challenges that were addressed in the field. Point out knowledge gaps and suggest methods to address the knowledge gaps and leave open research questions. These are the things. So I'll come to this part after lunch. Anyways, there are some things which I want to cover for this. So I'll come. Okay, just a moment. I think I couldn't share my screen. Okay, just let me share my screen. Okay, here. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yeah. So here, as you can see, the survey article. The survey article has a couple of important components. One is timeline of the survey, sample size of the survey, method of the data collection, limitation of the survey methods. Then the review article will classify the existing studies into various challenges that were addressed in the field, point out knowledge gaps, and suggest methods to address the knowledge gaps. Right. So that's what I have already said. When you're doing all this, why not do an original research instead of a survey article or a review article? I mean, like, what is stopping you? I mean, like, the effort taken for writing this or that is same. No? It's a similar effort. I mean, like, I'm just curious. That's why I'm asking.
Well, sir, I don't want to, argue on this point, but the reason for having these survey articles or any systematic mapping study or systematic literature review, sir, we get, lots and lots of findings out of it. And if the research protocols, especially if it is defined properly, the research questions are addressed properly, so that gives a very high amount of findings, and which can help us for conducting much better research. And sir, especially sir, see, the issue is that many times when we have any particular research problem to solve, if the research literature survey is not done properly through these surveys, the chances are that after 1 year or 2 years, you realize that it is already published somewhere in some particular journal. So, sir,
Got
that exhaustive way
got
of basically searching out
I
is
got
the need which this SMS or SLR or any comprehensive survey is conducted, sir. So, I just wanted to, sir, clarify on that. That was the reason, sir. Actually.
okay, I get it. I get your point. But then I have seen people early in their career who start writing review papers. See, review papers are written by someone who is a 15 years of experience in the field, 25 years of experience in the field, very, very specialist in the field. Only specialists are supposed to write. Okay. Now, if a generalist, I mean, like if you look at half of the professors from India, no offense to anyone, but even from IIT, I see it from Indian Institute of Technology or Indian Institute of Science, I'm seeing that they have become HODs of computer science, and they are publishing in all different directions, and they are getting retractions left, right, center. Okay. Now, and then they wonder why they are not occupying any editorial positions. That is because, I'll tell you why. That is because you are publishing in all different directions. You're behaving like a polytechnic person, but you are forgetting that you are a PhD and you are a specialist. You are a specialist of one area. So if I'm starting my career, in the first 10 years or 15 years, I don't want to publish any review article or systematic review paper, because already other people are doing it. Experts in the field are already doing it. Correct? So I'll wait until I publish certain number of articles in a specific area in my field, and then probably some IEEE or some Elsevier journal is going to write an email to me, inviting me to write a review paper. I respect that kind of a paper. Rest of the review papers I discourage, because I'll tell you why. One, you have to first become an expert in the field to actually even do such a thing. Until that point in time, there are enough number of review articles being written by others. Follow that, you'll get a good mapping. I mean, like the systematic literature review mapping, you can easily get it from there. But if you are not an expert of a field, how can you write as an authority on this thing? You have to be an authoritative figure, right? I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I feel. That's my philosophy. I mean, it's a personal philosophy, of course, but then that's how it is. I mean, like, that's what I was given to understand by my seniors and my mentors. So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So there are some questions here in the chat box. Yawahir Agayeva, Dr. Yawahir, we will be sending you, sharing this in the group. We have already shared this in the group. If you just scroll up, you'll find it. Okay. As a handout. Yeah. And we'll also be sharing the recorded session. Second one is from Dr. Janardhanan. In the abstract, we need to include novelty of the work. What we need to focus on this portion of the abstract? Not necessarily, because novelty, using the word novelty is a big word, and I'm nervous when I'm using that. I will never do that. Unless and until I'm doing really some groundbreaking work on basic sciences. In engineering, there is no such thing as novelty, because engineering is based on some science concept, fundamental concept of science. Okay, so there is no novelty there. Engineering is the application of science. So all the novelty or breakthrough, it's done in science. People use that term novelty, but I would actually recommend not to use it. But the choice is yours again, right? You can either take it or leave it. But that's what I was given to understand. I'm just sharing what I was given to understand. Maybe what other people told me may be wrong. My seniors might be wrong, but that's what I understand. In pharmacy technology-based works, we have to mention the abstract. Is it correct? I don't know. I'm not from pharmacy, so I'm not very qualified to say whether in pharmacy, because maybe in pharmacy that's a different thing. Because but then that is also is a case when you are trying to publish something in Lancet or something which, I mean, like some kind of a very big journal, which where you publish your pharmaceutical this thing, find, and then it becomes adopted by the WHO for global, providing that medicine to the global population. For example, BBV 152. You know what that is? Okay. Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. Yeah, that was called BBV 152. Until unless it was not published in Lancet, it was not approved by WHO. You can go and check. It is there in the timeline. Forget about what media says. Forget about what politicians say. But until unless that thing did not get published in Lancet, it did not get approved by WHO. That is the reality. So I don't know whether they use the word novel there also. I'm not very sure. So you can check in that. But I'm not very sure. Yeah. Yes, the first COVID study was published in Lancet. That's right. But all the vaccines which were used, they were all published in Lancet itself. You can also check that. That is animal trials, human trials, in vivo, in vitro, all the trials. Only once they were published, they got accepted. Yep. All right. Any other questions? Where did you send your one paper? Lancet. Any other questions, anyone?
Yes, sir. We sent one time, but it is rejected. We sent
Okay.
to Lancet, but in the fourth phase review time, they rejected till the data not to publish.
Okay. Okay. But you can send the same article to the next lower one, right? A little lower than Lancet. If it
Yes,
went
sir. Yes, sir.
down, then it is a really good work then.
Yes, it happened, but we 7 people stayed, but finally it's rejected.
Okay.
It's happened. Some other journal it's done,
Okay.
but the quality we seen in the Lancet, we'll feel it's a pride for us like that. But it's happened negative.
Correct. 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 So if we don't have any questions, we go for lunch and we meet at 2 o'clock. Am I correct?
My side is okay, sir. No issues. My side is clear.
Yeah. Everyone else? All right. So we'll meet after lunch then. Thank you.
Thank you.